Crimean Bridge, which has reopened after that deadly explosion on Saturday morning. Now, vehicles have already started crossing, with the railway section also opened for cargo and passenger trains. Here are some of the latest pictures, with cars now heading in both directions and being accompanied by traffic police. Russian officials say a successful test run showed that the bridge is safe, although one section of the crossing, the most heavily damaged parts, remains closed. All vehicles and trains are being carefully inspected before entering the bridge. And here's surveillance footage of the blast itself. The Russian Anti-Terror Committee says that 3 people died in the explosion, the exact cause of which is still under investigation. The attack destroyed 2 sections of roadway and set a nearby fuel cargo train on fire. One Chinese official warned that sabotage of critical infrastructure could spark a dangerous pattern.
The explosion on Crimean Bridge, less than a month after Nord Stream sabotage, opens Pandora's box of destroying key infrastructure. And once it becomes new normal, the whole world will face rising security threats.
Well, meanwhile, many Western media outlets have been celebrating the deadly bombing of the Crimean Bridge. The Daily Mail called it a birthday present for Vladimir Putin, who turned 70 on the eve of the attack on what's been described as his prized bridge. Some headlines say the crossing is a symbol of Russian occupation and called the bombing a blow to Putin's war effort. But the Slovak police went even further, comparing the attack to the results of the recent referendums that saw 4 new regions join Russia. While UK tabloid The Sun and some Ukrainian media suggest that Kyiv special forces are directly responsible for the bombing. Here's Russia's response to that.
The reaction of the Kyiv regime to the destruction of civilian infrastructure reveals its terrorist nature.
They're really keen to emphasize that this is a blow for Russia, that this is a devastating tragedy for Vladimir Putin, and what a great present just to, twist the knife a little bit more. But again, even though no one is confirming that Ukraine was behind it, we're seeing some countries, in particular in Europe, not only alluding to the fact that it was indeed Ukraine, but they're also applauding them for it.
I believe this target has been around for a very long time. Estonia certainly welcomes this and congratulates the Ukrainian Special Operations units who are expected to be behind this operation. It's a balm for the soul, especially given yesterday was Putin's birthday. It's great he received such gift. I wish him more of such gifts.
Can you imagine if something like this happened in the United States or in Israel or in any other country, in fact, and then you would hear statements like that? It's despicable, really, especially when we know that 3 people died. People lost their lives. And this is what I mean when Russia is saying that this reaction coming from Ukraine and also those who are supporting it abroad, this shows the toxicity of Kyiv's regime and the toxicity of the West, and also the terrorist nature of Kyiv's regime. The photos that we're seeing emerging from Ukraine are people actually taking selfies in front of a banner. We can see it right now, a banner that they've put up of the explosions on the bridge. And what's interesting is how fast they managed to get that banner up there. But also, we're now seeing reports online that the photo of this banner was actually circulating back in September. Of course, we know that the bridge was a target all along. There's no secret to that. They would love to blow it up because, of course, it's linking Russia to Crimea. So, again, here we saw that the 2nd largest bank in Ukraine is already issuing debit cards featuring the collapsed bridge. So there's happiness all around that this happened. Let's not forget that 3 people died. But again, this doesn't concern them. They're tweeting things like, let's start by taking a look at some of the tweets we saw coming out as early as this morning. First of all, we have the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine. Here he is saying, "Good morning, Ukraine," and a side-by-side of the bridge on fire, and Marilyn Monroe singing, "Happy birthday, Mr. President," of course alluding to the fact that this is a great gift for Vladimir Putin's 70th birthday. And then we had the Ukraine's security service that tweeted, the bridge is burning well, greetings from Ukraine's armed forces, and that today is a great occasion. And we heard from Zelensky's presidential advisor this summer. He said that the bridge itself is a target and will be a target, and they will try to destroy it as soon as they could.
We don't care about the Crimean Bridge. Once we've received the necessary technical options, it will become a target for us. There is nothing to discuss. We don't have an opportunity yet, but once we get it, we'll target it.
And it seems that they found the opportunity and the way to do it, and they did just that, even though now, again, they're saying that somehow Russia did it and this somehow helps us. I don't know in what way, shape, or form this would help Russia. But again, those are the latest claims from Kiev.
Following an initial outburst of praise for the attack, Ukraine's presidential advisor then suggested the incident was staged as part of a power struggle between Russia's defense ministry and the FSB. However, the Washington Post has revealed a Ukrainian government official admitted that Kiev's special forces were behind the bombing. Earlier, journalist Thomas Roper told my colleague Nikki Aaron it would be odd if Russia were to target its own infrastructure.
Russia always attacks itself. They are bombing Donetsk, they are bombing the nuclear power plant, they destroyed Nord Stream 2, and now the bridge. This is the normal Kiev propaganda. You can look at history. Every time when in a conflict something like this happens, it's the enemy who did it and trying to blame somebody else. It's obvious that Russia wouldn't blow the bridge. It needs himself for supporting the Crimea region.
Do you think it's possible that the US was also aware of plans to bomb the Crimean Bridge, considering that Ukrainian officials have called it a legitimate target for months now?
Well, I think they are not only, they did not only know, I think they are involved. We know, for example, that the US has to confirm each target which is hit by HIMARS rockets. We know that the US and the Brits are planning offenses of the Ukrainian army together with the Ukrainians. Such an act of whatever terror or war, how you call it, would not have been done by Kiev without support or at least knowledge of the Western supporters.